what I'm going to do is I'm going to play. Okay, so Phreak released a new video just 14 hours ago about him explaining his thoughts on the Quinn nerfs and changes, and I was waiting for this video, and he dropped it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play his video, and I'll talk about it, and then I'll give my thoughts. Okay. So here we go. We got his video here. We're gonna play it, and then as we play it, I'm gonna discuss it. Okay, so he just released this, and he talks about the Quinn nerfs.
And if she needs to be buffed down the line, that's fine. She can scale better with gold, or scale better with level, or something else, or be more mobile, or
What's the case?
mentioned with the action. That's fine. She can scale better with gold, or scale better with level, or something else, or be more mobile, or who knows what. But that could be for another discussion if we think she's actually weak afterwards.
Okay,
next
here it
is Quinn. As I mentioned with the action changes before, Quinn gained quite a lot of power back a couple patches ago, and so trying to put Quinn's power level into an appropriate spot. Now, much like Akshan, we're not trying to make Quinn a late game champion. I think both.
First of all, Quinn was not strong because of the HP buff that she got a few patches ago in the QuinnAD nerf. That's not why she got strong. The reason why her win rate went up so much is because more people got sold on the Shiv Ghostblade strat that I've been teaching and other people have been playing, that they started abusing it. That's what it was. That HP nerf or buff did not change her win rate that much. It did not. That's not the reason. It's because more people started becoming sold and building Ghostblade and then learning the playstyle. That's the thing. I think he's misunderstanding that part. That she didn't get strong because of the buff. But I'll keep going.
Both these champions are best served when they are lane bullies, and they're not just ranged top laners that scale and scale.
Hold on, let me move my rank thing because it's hiding the video. Okay, we'll keep going.
These champs should be skewed toward early game. However, when identifying Quinn as a champion and looking at her strengths and weaknesses, what she does, though Quinn is early game skewed, a lot of her numbers are out of line for her class of champion. So I'll talk about the move speed first. The baseline move speed for a ranged champion is 330. You can be 325 if you have a reason to be lower than average. Ashe should be 325. She perma-slows you and has more range than almost every other champion in the game. She should be slower than a normal champion. And if you're going to be above 330, it's because you really, really need it because you're really short range or you don't have catch-up tools or you don't have mobility or something, and so you should be 335. Quinn sure doesn't have the most attack range, but she has a ton of out-of-combat move speed, so she can always get into attack range from R. Quinn has no problem starting the fight. She has functionally infinite move speed. No one runs faster than her. With R, she can make sure she starts the fight in range. She then also has Vault, and she also has the W passive, which gives her substantial in-combat move speed, which gives her disengage, which gives her a targeted slow, a targeted knockback, the ability to keep distance from her opponent. So she doesn't have, like, Ashe passive, but she has ways of keeping her opponents at distance. This all leads you to believe Quinn does not deserve above average ranged champion move speed. And
so I have to make a point because Phreak does mention a good point that about the baseline stats of ranged champions and looking at ranged champions and seeing that, and okay, Ashe has 325 because she has long range and slows, right? And her ult, etc. CC. So she gets that. But the thing that he's failing to mention is that look at where the other ranged champs are being played. They're being played bot lane with support, with peel, with safety. Quinn's playing top lane. She's playing top lane against the front lines, the champions that stick onto you like glue, and you're a range low HP champion. So that's the tough part there. And if he wants to go on that route of nerfing 5 MS to like make it even with the other champs, right? If that's what he wants to do, she still needs that speed somewhere else in her kit. She can't just lose 5 movement speed and then just keep everything as is and even nerf the HP. that doesn't provide much, because that's just a straight nerf for a champion who's not overpowered right now. She's strong because of an item, but she's not overpowered. It doesn't seem like he's nerfing it because of her win rate. It's because he looks at the speed of everyone else and trying to match that. But they play bot lane. But then you look at champions probably like Jace, right? Jace doesn't have that speed, so why is he okay? Well, Jace has other things in his kit. He just does insane damage. He's got his E that gives him speed. He's got his melee form thing. He has other ways of getting speed, but he doesn't really necessarily need it because he's part melee champ. He does so much damage. He plays as a full lane bully. That's what Jace does. Full lane bully, but he doesn't have that speed there. Quinn, she's not a lane bully. They nerfed her early game so much in previous patches. So all she has is speed. That's literally it. That's all this champ has. You have no damage to tanks later, no scaling. You literally just have the speed, and you just gotta hope that you win early game so that you can become useful. Otherwise, you just get outscaled, right? So she needs that speed. She's a solo lane AD carry, and she has no help. Ashe has an ult as CC, long range, slows on W, slows on auto attacks. She has everything. She gets peel from a Leona, it's Karma, right? Quinn doesn't have that. She's alone. So since she's alone, she needs that speed. So that's why I don't like that comparison of, oh, just because ranged champs all have that. She's a solo lane AD carry. Then you could look at the other solo lane AD carries, right? Akshan, Vayne, right? First of all, Vayne has perma Qs and Es. So she has and then she has her alt passive so you can hunt people down and chase them. So you got that speed, right? Akshan has his speed with his auto attacks, has his mobility from E. What do both Akshan and Vayne have that Quinn doesn't have? The damage, bro. The damage. Those champs do crazy damage to tanks, to bruisers, to squishies. The scaling, Vayne scales like none other. Quinn doesn't have that. All she has is speed. That is it. So if you nerf that speed and don't give her anything, you're just going to get destroyed, right? You play, he mentions, I'll point it out. He mentions a level 14 Jax playing against Quinn later, and she needs health for that. No, she doesn't need health. She needs damage or speed. You have to give her one of the two, right? She doesn't do damage to people who build Frozen Heart or like tanky armor items, right? So if she doesn't have the damage, which honestly in these metas, she doesn't do damage into tanks, she needs speed to like match or use that to keep up. But if you just take away the speed, she has no answer. She has nothing. Vayne has perma Ws. Action's got his passive. He's got crazy damage in the kit. Quinn doesn't have that, so that's the flaw there.
And this is, I mentioned the mobility creep sort of earlier on.
Oh, shoot. My bad.
Final champion change here is,
oh, no.
It's been a huge, pretty reliably. One thing, a lot of things is these changes, while we're here, more than a champion Akshan, a bunch of scaling health because right. This
Sorry,
is why
I'm trying to get
I gave,
back.
for example, Quinn and Akshan, and of risk to your champion.
Sorry, I'm trying to find the part of that.
Teemo and Quinn, who like doesn't have really good disengage buttons, right? Compared to these champions, oh, she's far above.
Sorry, guys.
This is interesting because we gave her like scaling durability early, of course, right? Quinn above average range.
There we go, found it. Okay,
and this is, I mentioned the mobility creep sort of earlier on. I believe even if it's only going to be incremental, that was like if we adhere to like appropriate rules around who's meant to have appropriate mobility, we can nudge the game back in a direction of move speeds make sense. Champions are rewarded when they need it. Champions don't have rewards when they don't need it. And yes, of course, it's going to feel bad to not be as fast. Of course, right? Quinn enjoys running around very fast. I'm certainly aware of that. This is, you're going to feel this, but also as a ranged top laner who has copious disengage tools, does not need more than the normal ranged champion's move speed.
So if she doesn't need the more than ranged champ movement speed, she needs the more than damage that she doesn't have, So I have to say that point's important. Akshan, Vayne, any AD carry bot lane, they all have crazy damage in their kit. Crazy damage. Quinn doesn't have any of that. So she has all speed. That's all she has. She all-ins on speed. That's literally the only thing she has. So if you want to like have a border of that, which is understandable, by the way, if he wants that, she needs something else, right? We need some damage, something. We need to get her damage like on par with other champions, right? You need something else, because if you just lose the movement speed, right? She needs something, because that's all she has right now. She doesn't have anything.
She already has ways of getting more move speed anyway, doesn't need it baseline. The other change is a base HP nerf, which I realize is interesting because we gave her like scaling durability earlier on. Certainly overall in the mid late game, she's still gonna be more durable than before. But it basically says, look, if we look at other ranged top laners, Vayne, Teemo, Mininar, how does Quinn compare to these champions? Oh, she's far above all three. And she has Vault. Like, she has a targeted disengage the 1v1 button. Quinn does not need to have above average range top laner health when she has Vault. If a champion like, say, I don't know, Kalista, who like doesn't have really good disengage buttons, right? Doesn't have Teemo Blind, doesn't have Condemn, doesn't have Vault. Yeah, Kalista as a champion can like try to hop backwards, but like can't tell a melee champion no. Kalista.
But Callista's got like some of the best kiting in the game for that, doesn't she? She has perma like dashes.
If we were to support her as a valid top laner, should have more health than Quinn or Teemo or Vayne. Absolutely. Kennen doesn't have nearly the same forced disengage tools as champions. Kennen, as a ranged top laner, deserves to have more health than Teemo and Quinn. To be fair, I don't know off the top of my head how much health Kennen has. That is the kind of champion who can't very obviously trivially say no to an engage, and so deserves to have enough health to not get one shot by a melee champion casting Slice and Dice. I think that's more than reasonable. Quinn is much more in the Mininar camp, much more in the Teemo camp, much more in all this other stuff where actually no, you deserve to have some level of risk to your champion.
So I see a comment in the Twitch chat. I like his thought process though. Too many champions have crazy move speed. Okay, I agree. And Phreak's putting good thoughts here. I'm not disagreeing. But the problem is that if you just take that away, but don't give her anything, she has a problem. So let's just convert some of her movement speed to damage, to scaling, to something else. That's what she needs. Because every other champ, every other ranged champ, they have something else. They have crazy damage, crazy scaling, crazy everything. Right? Quinn just has speed. That's it. That is all this girl has. This champ has just speed. She doesn't have damage like other champs. So let's just say if we agree to lower that movement speed to make it fair. Okay. But then she needs it somewhere else. She needs something else to compare to that. And that would be a fine change.
So I think this is defensively, from a kit shape perspective, I like nerding over base stats and trending toward consistency where the consistency makes sense. It's not for its own sake, but to say, hey, what class are you in? You should share attributes with that class. I think that is why I think this helps us from power creeping and whatnot, and ensuring things go in the right place. And so I am very willing to nerf base stats when those are the things that need to be put into line. I'm willing to buff base stats when those are not in line, right? This is why I gave, for example, Quinn and Ukshan a bunch of scaling health, because they are meant to be able to side lane late game. These champions have to fight against Jax at level 14. Jinx has a permanent Janna by her side. Quinn does not. Ergo, Quinn deserves to have health growth more than a champion like Jinx or Kai'Sa.
But that's why Quinn deserves movement speed, 5 movement speed more than the Ashe does. You see the art? You see where my point is there? Because he said, why does Quinn get 5 more MS than the other champs when she doesn't need it? But are the other champs fighting against a Jax level 14 without a Janna by their side? Are they doing that with a Janna by their side? Right? They are. Quinn doesn't do that. She's alone. The health doesn't mean you beat Jax. I wrote this in my comment to Phreak, but if I'm playing against a Jax level 14, I'm fighting him. I have what? Like level 18, like 100 more health. Like literally just be like 100 or even less. That's not going to survive anything. Right? If you're slower, you're destroyed. You're dead by Jax. Like you need that speed. That's all you have against the Jax. That's all you have. He flash counter strikes you, perma Qs, like 4-second cooldown on Q. You have nothing. You need speed. That's all you need. Or you can't survive against these champs. You can't.
Quinn does not need level 1 health because she already has all the tools to cleanly disengage a Jax Renekton in the early game. So that is the spiel there. That is the idea. That is the thought process behind these changes. And then overall saying, look, while we're here as sort of hitting sort of win rate targets and whatnot by saying, hey, I really stand behind these numbers, like these changes, and these specific numbers of these changes, like I think these are the correct changes in magnitude and direction. Said, okay, well, our win rate target is actually not quite that aggressive. She should get something back. This could have been level 1 AD. This could have been something like W attack speed. There were a lot of things this could have been. I chose attack damage growth only because Quinn has below average attack damage growth. And this, to be fair, actually does feed into her passive and her Q and her E. Every single one of her offensive outputs.
But the problem is that he nerfed Quinn's Q and E like on the previous patch, like the damage. So like this, we get like 5 or 6 AD late game, level 18 with this buff he did, which is nothing. He says that it makes your E and Q do more damage because it scales. But we lost 40 damage from the two. So if you look at that 40 damage nerf we got from the Q and E together, and then this, you still nerf no matter what. Like you're still do less damage. You see what I mean?
Was actually scales off total AD. Actually, Vault might be bonus AD. I could be wrong about that, but regardless, like the primary ones are the Q and the passive, right? And so this actually does feed through into her abilities pretty reliably. One thing I'm actually curious about, because I've seen only anecdotal bits from Quinn players. Would you rather? Because one thing I've noticed actually, by the way, is I've noticed that she has very quickly moved her build towards Youmuu's Ghostblade. So over the last 2 patches, she has aggressively moved from Stormrazor third. Sorry, not Stormrazor third.
Second.
Gale Force third to Youmuu's
second.
Like,
it's not third. Second.
It's been a huge change. And I was under the impression that Quinn players liked being late game auto attackers, but the power level between Gale Force third and Youmuu's third seems to be very similar. The power level here, maybe it's second, I forget, but the power level of those items seems very similar from what I can see, but players have very aggressively moved over to Youmuu's. So as Quinn players,
I push people.
Do you like being Lethality Assassin more, or do you like being Marksman more at 2, 3, 4 items? Like, let me know. This won't be like perfectly representative, but like I am curious which version of Quinn you enjoy more, because we can make her less of a burst mage, less of assassin, and more of a marksman. But this also flattens out her kit a lot and risks making her a late game carry, which I don't think we're willing to do, and I think actually crushes too much of her identity. It's hard to make a good auto attacker not good late game, right? Like how do you not make a default auto attacking crit marksman not good late game? That's kind of the tough thing. And so it might be that like there's just not a version of this that works, but I'm curious your thoughts. Please share them. Let me know.
What do you guys think? Tell me your thoughts. Do you guys want Quinn to be crit or lethality? But she was before. She wasn't a good late game champ, but with her W before, she was a crit champ. Crit champ that didn't have the best late game. So I mean, it's possible. It's just this way is not possible. Right now, bro, crit's so bad to build. I use such a bad build path. It's a mythic. Get rid of mythics. Ghostblade's such an easy build path, so fantastic. You're not going lethality right now, you're going critality, so you're going a lot of crit items with lethality. It's a mixture. That's our build right now. But I want to hear your thoughts. What do you guys think? And that's what Phreak said. So, where do I go with that? I don't know. I just feel like I see his thoughts, but I just feel like she needs something, man. If you're gonna nerf her speed, you gotta give her something. That AD buff he did, nothing. That's my thoughts. I gave a lot of suggestions. I don't know what you guys think. Here's my suggestions. I'll summarize. I'll run in Q. I said that make Q go faster. Like Q missile speed go faster. So the range matchup she does better. So maybe she's better bot laner against like the Jaces or like range top laners. So Q missile speed. That'll be a good change. That won't make her broken because melee champs having fast Q does nothing into the fat tanks. You're gonna land blind against Ornn every time. That's not a problem. And it doesn't change anything. You blind an Ornn, who cares? You blind a Vayne, you blind a Jace, it changes the game. So she'll be way better bot laner against range champs, which is her struggle, right? I said, if we want to nerf her base MS, you have to give her something else to maintain a distance against bruisers. Health is not it, Chief, is what I was saying. So like a E slow increase, Harrier moon speed increase. He won't agree with that, but I just wanted to say. Maybe it lasts longer. So Harrier marks, it lasts 2.5 seconds instead of 2 seconds. Lower cooldown on E. Like I just gave a lot of options, but we have that. Let's just say we lower her movement speed base, but she needs something else because just taking that away without anything, it just hurts. And if we don't want anything in the movement speed department, give something in the damage department because again, that's like she doesn't have that. Vayne and Action have crazy damage. Teemo's got crazy scaling damage. Crazy. Teemo's got mushrooms, blind, W speed, and insane damage. Insane damage, Teemo. W 80% is a must, yeah. Well, he said that he was thinking of a buff to give Quinn, and he's like, well, I could have done like early game AD, like base AD level 1 higher, or I could have reverted W to 80, but he's like, I chose the AD buff of 0.3. He chose that. It's not like he was basically put them all in the same playing field. You have 80% W, like level 1 AD, like 1 AD level 1 or something extra level 1, or the 0.3 AD buff that he's giving. 0.3 AD. That's like, what's the math on that? Like 5 or 6 AD late game. But he said that that's gonna buff your champ because Harrier procs on AD, Q and E proc on AD. But it's like, we nerfed Q and E by 40, so it doesn't do anything. You know what I mean? If we're gonna see those as playing field, give the W back. Keep the MS nerf level 1. Give her something else in her kit. Give her something else, because we really lack a lot. We lack damage, bro. So if we're gonna be able to get destroyed in speed against a lot of champs, champ needs damage.
I've been trying and trying to put myself me first. You and me go backwards. Tired of all this reverse.